the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
Mixing foods in general, like it led to anything else in the house. Like the first time, because I started making, at some point, you do your first can of soup and you feel like, I was like 7 and I'm like heating up a can of Campbell's soup.
I'm
now
cooking.
I know how to make food. This is great. And then I remember I was making I had vegetable beef soup and I had it in the can and my dad comes by and he just goes, I tell you what I always do is soup. And he just takes a huge swipe of butter and just puts it in there.
Yeah, it must have been a dad thing. My dad would do that too. Butter in the soup.
Yeah, it was like, no. And of course I ate it. I was like, yeah, it's way better, Dad. And I'm just like trying not to hurl the whole time.
Brody, this isn't the Depression anymore. We don't have to put butter in our soup.
Yeah, my dad used to also, he would fill a bowl. He wouldn't eat cereal, like our sweetened breakfast cereals. That's children's food.
Yep.
But I watched him on several occasions fill a bowl with saltine crackers and pour milk on it and eat that. Oh, that's a Depression meal.
My cousin, which makes perfect sense to me now, but at the time was the grossest thing I'd ever witnessed, and she would take saltines and dip them in her Hershey's chocolate.
That's not so bad.
Remember, we used to get the cans of it. Yeah. You'd open it up just like a soup can, and you'd have the whole Hershey's chocolate in there for your ice cream. Yeah, now the salty and sweet, it looked good, but at the time it was revolutionary. We didn't understand it. She lived in Philadelphia. She'd come visit us in South Dakota, and we're like, that's what they do in the cities. That's one of those city girls with the saltines.
Wait till you see a Rubik's Cube. You rube.
All right.
Food quirks. On the Facebook page, we asked, what's your weird food quirk? There's some good ones here.
You have a very loose definition of good.
Well, that's very true. Well, here's one interesting.
We're in morning radio. We have to.
Paula posted, and then a bunch of people followed up with the agreement. I love pickles out of the jar, but don't you dare put them in my sandwich or burger. Just the pickles. And then also on that one, the peanut butter and pickle sandwich.
Yes, peanut butter and pickle sandwich, fabulous.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, I watched you eat a peanut butter and pickle cheeseburger last year.
Up in Brainerd. At the Blue...
Oyster.
Blue Oyster.
Yeah,
it was peanut butter and pickles.
Yeah, peanut butter and pickles on a burger.
Cheeseburger.
It was dreamy.
Yeah, you were pretty excited about it.
Yeah,
Some people can do that.
Thinking about it right now.
Yeah, I'm very strict with my peanut butter, plain or jelly. That's it. Yeah, I don't vary it. I don't put it on the burger. I don't see it, but a lot of people dig it. It's on menus.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I mean, if the Blue Oysters, it's good enough for their menu.
Got a couple of people who've posted similarly. Kevin wrote, I eat one thing at a time. Following Gerald wrote, I prefer eating one food at a time. Finish the main course, then the side, then some yogurt, then dessert.
All right. Nothing uptight about that, fellas. You don't look at all high maintenance on your first date doing that.
I'm the guy who will spend 4 minutes trying to get a little bit of everything onto one bite on the fork. I'm the exact opposite. I just want all the flavors together. Like every meal to me is like your Thanksgiving leftovers meal. Just put it all, just get it all in there.
I used to make leftover sandwiches, and there would be potatoes in there. There would be gravy. There would be stuffing. There would be some turkey, cranberries. Let's get it on the top. Let's smash it down between two pieces of bread. Marine chili with chow mein noodles on top. They stay crunchy, and the cheese and sour cream stick to them.
Okay.
I'm not going to reject that out of hand. Not at all.
Yeah. No? All right.
That's like the Cincinnati chili always comes with spaghetti noodles.
Yeah.
That's how they rock
my
that.
mom, back east, Pennsylvania Dutch, that's how they did it over there. Your chili was chili because you put beans in it, and it was spaghetti because you put, spaghetti with it. Mm-hmm. All right, here's one. You guys didn't mind the chili with chow mein noodles on top. How about Greg's? We're on the KQ Facebook page, by the way. You want to make a contribution, weird food combos. Greg goes with apple onion sandwich.
No.
Apple onion?
Yeah, apple onion.
No.
Easy, Greg.
Yeah.
Easy.
My mom said this was often lunch during the 1930s because they had, what do we have? Apples and onions and bread. Okay.
Yeah.
Serve them up. 2 slices of butter bread, sliced sweet apples, sliced mild onion, and salt and pepper. All right. Sweet and salty.
See that trigger. That's a trigger warning for me because as a kid, I started making my own school lunches in second grade. Up until that point, it was the responsibility of my two older brothers. David, Douglas, you make Steven's lunch, and so they would do that. And then they decided they had had enough of it. I went to school one day and I opened up my lunch bag completely unsuspecting, and what was in there was a sandwich, 2 pieces of white bread, a thick slice of an orange with a thick slice of an onion. And the orange still had the rind on it, the peel.
Of course it did.
And I was like, what in the hell is this? And so that was like, okay, I guess I'm going to start making my own lunch now.
They laughed all day, but especially when it got
really
to lunchtime.
On the KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK, someone texted in chunky peanut butter and a hot dog.
All right, well, there you go.
I mean, I like them both. That. I don't know that I can...
Do you have the other condiments on the hot dog, or is it just the chunky peanut butter?
He just said chunky peanut butter.
Oh, you can't go with, like, mustard and chunky peanut butter, can you?
Well, I don't know. If you go with cottage cheese and gravy, then,
okay.
all bets are off.
Cottage cheese and gravy? Oh.
This text is going to do me in. Lay's potato chips crushed up in a bowl with milk or ketchup.
Milk, maybe.
All right. Thank God it wasn't milk and ketchup.
That'd be just like mashed potatoes.
Crushed up potato chips in a bowl with ketchup, to me, the words hostage situation come to mind. Like, I'm picturing you're in a dank basement. There's a chain around one, if not both of your ankles. And that's just what the guy sends a bowl across the floor to you. Just eat this.
And you turn it down for the first 3 days, but then on day 4.
Eat
it with your hands.
That's exactly right. Oh, my gosh.
Putting stewed tomatoes on pork. Well, that sounds okay. Spaghetti with a glass of chocolate milk.
Basically, everything's good with peanut butter. This text in, peanut butter and pastrami sandwich.
I'd try that.
I'd try it. I mean,
I'm going to stick with the good old Thousand Island dressing on my pastrami. Thank you very much.
Pastrami and Thousand. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, right. Reuben, right?
Yeah, that's
you got to put some sauerkraut on there.
Absolutely. Pile it on there, my man.
I remember being very excited. I remember being very excited when I discovered that you just add, like in college, mac and cheese, instant spud flakes, all ramen noodles. I'm getting all that really easy to make stuff. And the difference, just one can of tuna added to anything. You know what I mean? Just mix it in there, or just chop up some hot dogs and ramen noodles with the chicken seasoning and hot dogs, or with tuna, or with anything. And it was just like, for a while there, I felt the best ever I came up with was instant spud flakes.
Yeah.
You'd get that Ore-Ida spud flakes, and you'd just have a bowl of mashed potatoes over in a matter of seconds, and then you just top that off with a whole can of chunky soup. And you wouldn't eat for 3 days. I mean, that'd get you through the weekend.
That's hearty.
Knock that thing out on a Friday afternoon, and it's Sunday before you're thinking about food again.
Beauteous.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. That was at a time when I'd go to Little Caesars, not for the pizza, but for the $1.04 bag of crazy bread.
Oh, the crazy bread.
Just eat crazy bread. That'd be the meal. It's $1.04 for a bag of like 4 giant breadsticks and some marinara. Come on, man. You got yourself a stew.
The best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bacon.
Toast. Toast. Toast.
I would like toast.
Toast.
Who wants toast? I love toast.
When this guy put some bread in a toaster, you won't believe what happened next.
You've got bread and a toaster of some kind.
Can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
Your breakfast is ready.
I didn't hear a ding.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
All we need to do is beat the toaster.
Beat the toaster.
It's a game show.
Beat the toaster.
Breakfast is ready.
Oh, it's time to embrace the anxiety. It's time once again for Beat the Toaster. Here's what we do. We pop. That's right. We just talked about that the other night. That is in there?
That's, I believe there was a one of those, what do they call it, demonstration events last Olympics. And, they're going for the gold now.
Break dance.
A slice of bread into the toaster right here in the studio. We're going to give you a category. Then you name as many things that pop into your head as possible in 15 seconds before the toast pops. Go ahead and beat the toaster.
I'm excited. Tony, what kind of bread are we toasting up today?
Today we have a lovely Sara Lee Light, only 45 calories a slice.
Good to know.
I can get more Velveeta in there, then.
Yeah, I was going to say, just give me 4 slices then. That's fantastic. All right, so we're rocking this. We're ready to play Beat the Toaster. I'm ready to have fun. We're already. Who am I kidding? This is nothing but stress and anxiety inducing. If we're set to pop, who's caller number one?
Number one should be our buddy Doug from Dayton.
Hey, Doug, what's happening over in Dayton, brother?
Just chilling.
Just chilling. Are you ready to play Beat the Toaster?
Let's give it a shot.
All right, we're going to give it a shot. You give it a shot. Let's all give it a shot. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Doug, my man, the Olympics, they're going to start on Friday. Go America. How about you name some Olympic events? Go.
Equestrian, diving, swimming, gymnastics, vault, iron cross, double bars, beam, floor exercise, rhythmic gymnastics.
All right, Toast has popped.
Wow. Okay, so he went with gymnastics. Then he started going specifically down the gymnastics format. But these are individual events. They also, So let's see. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 or 9. What are we?
I got 9.
You got 9. Okay, so we got 9.
Feel comfortable in that. No break dancing. That's in there this year. Yeah, that's right. Dust off the old moves there, 80s boy.
1984? What's the last time anybody broke dance?
Breaking to Electric Boogaloo.
It takes it a while to get into the Olympic lexicon. Come on now.
Oh, my gosh. Break dance.
You don't think badminton just went, straight from the 1920s into the Olympics? It took a couple of decades.
I'm going to die on the hill of bring back the tug of war, by God. That used to be in there. 4-man and 6-man tug of war, and I want it back.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, I just saw a video the other day on Instagram Reel, and it was like 4 or 5 giant muscled men with a rope, and the rope went through some bars, and there was one lion with the rope in his mouth. And it was like effortlessly pulling these 4 giant muscle men, like no big deal.
Right.
Just one lion in a zoo. Like, you think you can pull me? Screw you.
Wildlife strength.
Pretty awesome. All right, Doug got 9. That is a hell of a first round for Doug. Let's move on. I believe we have Colleen on the horn. Colleen, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, Colleen. Thanks for calling in. Are you a Stray Cats fan?
Yes, I am.
And are you a
Ryan
Toast?
Setzer is one of my favorites, actually.
Nice. He's pretty incredible. Are you a fan of Toast?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Thank goodness.
And breakfast food.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, then you're in the right place. Good luck to you, Colleen.
Okay.
All right, Colleen, the dramas continue in politics. Name for us not past presidents, but past vice presidents. Go ahead.
Spiro Agnew, Rockefeller, Humphrey, Carter, Bush, Biden, let's see, I think Lincoln.
Toast has popped.
Okay, Colleen, first of all, leading the charge with Spiro Agnew was not expected. Well done.
Strong.
I like that. As a Marylander myself, even though he's a criminal. Rockefeller, didn't expect to see Nelson D up there. Humphrey, Bush, Biden. I think you said Carter.
Yeah, Carter.
Jimmy was never a VP, unless there's another Carter in history I'm
It
forgetting.
was Ford that was the one I was thinking of that became president. Yeah.
I thought maybe you were thinking of Billy. He kind of felt like a VP there for a while.
No, that's beer.
Yeah.
That was the beer. Yeah, you're right.
So I think we got 5 there, Colleen.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. So Colleen with 5. Shockingly, I found myself at a loss. The Olympic events I felt great about. VPs, now that the timer's not on, I could just go right back in straight line. But when you said it, Tony, I went,
yes, sir.
I don't think I could name one. No, I'm kidding.
All right, so, but round 2 is usually where we separate the wheat from the chaff. Let's get to it. Doug, are you ready for round 2?
You bet.
All right, we do bet.
Let's go. Bring it, Dougie. You didn't show up for work. You can't say you had COVID. You can't even say you were sick. So what are some excuses you're going to use to explain your absence? Go.
My dog died. Migraine headache. Car won't start. Flat tire. Didn't want to come to work today.
He got the best one in right after the bell, unfortunately.
I got the sense Doug was literally going down his personal Rolodex of memories. And let's see, what did I say? What have I used in the past? Dead dog, migraine, car doesn't start, flat tire. That's 4 I got. All right, Doug, you have a grand total of 13, sir. Very well played. Let's move on to Colleen for round 2. Colleen, you got your work cut out for you, but it is well within your reach. You will need, let's see, 8 to tie. 9 will put you over the top. Best of luck to you, Colleen.
Okay.
Let's turn that radio down. All right. Yep. Here we go.
All right, you can do it. So you're in a barrel.
All right.
You're in a barrel, Colleen. You go over Niagara Falls. As you're going over the rushing water, thoughts go through your head of things you wish you would have done in your lifetime. What are they? Go.
Flown, gone to school, college, gone to eat out more often, movies, sex, drugs, rock and roll, been on stage, sang, went to the moon, went to the airport.
Oh, okay. Hey, the bell rang, Colleen.
Colleen, your toast has popped.
Wow. If you could do me a favor, this is Zepp. If you could do me a favor, before you get into that barrel to go over Niagara Falls, give me a call. I think we can cross a couple of those off the list for you.
Whew. That's a strong list right there, Colleen. I got 7, which I'm sorry to say is just
so
one
close.
short.
Winning a game on the KQ Morning Show is still on her list of things to do before she goes over the falls.
Yeah, I was close.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, you certainly were ready to keep on rolling. If we'd had a couple more seconds, you would have been in there. Well played, Colleen. Just so short. That means Doug is our winner for the day. Doug, you've picked up a couple of tickets to see the Stray Cats August 9th at the Ledge Amphitheater. Congratulations, sir.
Oh, thank you so much.
You got it, man.
Great. It's been a great show.
Yeah, you're going to have a good time there, brother. Best of luck, getting in and out without any drama. You'll have a fun time. Cheers.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zepp, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
The Florida Panhandle, series of shark attacks this summer already on the Atlantic coast of Florida. Also shark attacks. Great white 20-footers off the coast of New England. Right. I mean, every day there's a shark story.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a lot about hammerheads, but because they tend to be out in the deeper waters. They don't mess with people that often.
I do know for some reason, I don't know why I know this, probably watching one of those nature shows, trying to grab a nap in the afternoon, that hammerheads do a migration down the East Coast in January. So I know, you'll see them there along the Florida coast in South Carolina.
Right.
In January, they like to do a little migration there.
Occasionally, you see hammerhead sharks in the Gulf. And Houston, in case anyone's unfamiliar with the map, the 4th biggest city in America, is essentially on the Gulf of Mexico, in Texas, right there near the water, just south of Texas, south of Houston. There's great beaches. It's a super great beach scene and culture down there. And Houston's had a rough few months. You've got you had that deadly Derico, that crazy storm, flooding in May, Hurricane Beryl in July, and now in Houston, it's not the hammerhead sharks you got to worry about in the ocean.
No.
It's the hammerhead flatworms that are coming up out of the ground. This is a real thing. It's an earthworm that's head is flat and looks like a hammerhead. They are toxic. They secrete chemicals through their skin that are dangerous to humans and pets. They can grow up to 15 inches long, which for a worm is plenty long.
It is. I was kind of thinking 50s B horror movie here. I was thinking like 50 feet long or something like that. And huge,
the torrential rain and thunderstorms have brought these invasive species. They're native to Asia. It's brought them out all over Houston, and they're kind of creepy to look at. My single biggest issue with these is you don't want to get rid of them in the way you might think. A lot of local news in Houston. A lot of people freaking out about hammerhead worms. Let's take a listen to a few of the things they're talking about.
Invasive poisonous worms are back in Texas.
Yeah, I hope that you're not eating dinner on this one. It's kind of stunning. What do we know about these invasive toxins hammerhead flatworms.
We know that it can secrete noxious chemicals that can make our dogs or cats feel sick for a day or two if they try to eat them.
Yeah. Long and the short of it, you hear hammerhead, shark or worm, it is not good. As you just mentioned, though, they secrete this chemical and are considered to be very toxic. So what is the main threat here? You mentioned, your animals like dogs. Is this something very serious if they get into these?
No, not at all. So the chemical that they secrete is a defense mechanism. It's basically to deter anything from eating them. So if your dog or cat does try to eat the flatworm, they'll throw it right up. The flatworm will be fine. Your dog or cat will be nauseous for a day or two, and then they'll be fine. And usually they will not try to eat it again.
That's a successful defense mechanism.
Yes, it is. Yes, doing its job for sure.
How can people help to eradicate them?
To seal it in a container or spray it with vinegar if you're not comfortable picking them up. We don't want you to cut them up into pieces. They could grow into more. So it's really important to physically remove or dissolve it with vinegar when you see it.
Interesting. Wow, we will absolutely be all over this. Thank you so much for your insight, Ashley. We really appreciate it.
We'll be all over this. Thank you.
Oh, interesting. My gosh, I hope you folks weren't having breakfast out there when we were doing this story. Oh my Lord!
Wow. Two thoughts. First of all, I'm not walking around with a spray can of vinegar, a spray bottle of vinegar. Generally speaking, and secondly, I just love when she goes, "Oh, and don't cut it up; it'll regenerate." So you cut you got a garden hoe or your weed eater or just your fingers, and you're like, kill that thing. Cut it in half. Well, now you've got 2 hammerhead earthworms. Cut those in half. Now you've made 4.
Makes me want to do that.
Interesting. Wow, we will absolutely be all over this. Thank you so much for your insight, Ashley. We really appreciate it.
Ashley,
could we get one of those terrariums or like an ant farm? But could we get a hammerhead earthworm farm here in Minnesota?
It's an invasive species, Steve.
Yeah, well, let's let it invade the studio.
How fun to watch! I want to see it regenerate.
We're rocking the '80s boat in Stillwater tonight. Maybe I'll just have some hammerhead worms in my pockets and just pass them out. Hey, great to see you again, man. Here's a hammerhead worm.
What if someone's dog was to eat this? Isn't this highly toxic? No, not at all. In fact, the worm would even survive a dog trying to eat it. Don't worry, the worm will be all right. The dog will be fine.
Yeah, I love that. The dog will throw up the worm. The worm's fine.
Yeah, the worm will survive.
Worms tell the story. They have their own Jonah and the whale versions. They tell their worm children, now those dogs will eat you, but you'll be fine.
I like the part. Well, hammerhead sharks or hammerhead worms. That's the same thing, basically.
They do say though, it's not going to kill you. It's going to make you a little nauseous. But another thing that they're saying down there is like literally, if you're going to touch it, put gloves on. Like just don't even risk it. Like man, seriously, earthworms coming up.
Who needs it?
Not me.
What if I went fishing with a hammerhead worm and caught a fish and ate the fish?
Well, the fish will be fine.
The fish will be fine.
Thank God.
Yeah. Interesting. That's so interesting, Ashley.
Interesting.
Sounds like a South Park character, doesn't it?
Interesting. Wow, we will absolutely be all over this. Thank you so much for your insight, Ashley. We really appreciate it.
The best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
Police department officers responded to a report. A gentleman called on July 5th and said, I found in my driveway what looks to be a human finger. I'm not quite sure what to do with it.
What the hell? I sometimes daydream. That's my macabre imagination.
Okay.
What if I just, if I'm out on a hike, what if I just see a body laying over there? Or a finger or an ear? I thought I found an ear one time. It was just a piece of garbage. But,
But you had, wait. You saw something.
Story.
You saw something, and you had that thing of, oh my God, I think that's an ear.
Yeah,
that must have been quite a rush.
It's a plastic wrapper. I did. I thought it was in some leaves, and I thought, what if there's a whole head under there?
Wow.
I got a little amped up, but just a plastic wrapper for some pork rinds.
But suffice to say, you've never found a body part.
No, I never have found a body part. Brother cut up the tip of his finger, like down to that first knuckle, in a belt grinder when we were kids. Not supposed to be using it. Trying to sharpen a jackknife.
Tony, body parts?
I was in a hospital one time, and a guy came into the emergency room holding a little baggie with his fingers in it.
Oh,
plural? Fingers?
Yeah, his fingers, like his whole hand. He had passed out, drunk on a train track, and a train ran over.
Oh, my God.
But he had his fingers in a little baggie.
Oh,
my gosh.
That's doing it to yourself right there. Of all the places to pass out. I woke up one time, a German Shepherd was licking my face. That wasn't bad. Kind of having a weird sex dream.
I have been awakened by a hotel maid's cart because I was passed out in the hallway.
Did she run into you?
Yeah, she hit my foot with her wheel, and then gave me the. And by the way, this was not a 5-star establishment. And she just gave me a look like, you are pathetic, but I'm trying to be nice, but get the hell out of my way.
Somebody needs
And I sat up, and it took me a few seconds to wait, hold on, where am I? What's happening? And then I was like, what's in my? There is a key in my pocket, and that's my okay. And I just got up and went to my room. I never have known why on earth I fell asleep in the hotel hallway.
You almost made it.
Things
that was it. Got
mystery.
Close.
Exhausted, probably out doing good. I'm wondering, so you come in with a bag of your own fingers. I mean, so you've got to find those. You've got to get up, find those, bag them up. Wow, that's intense.
Right. What if there's like one missing? You're like, God, if I could just find the pinky.
I mean, it would drive me crazy.
Set.
I don't want to go in until I have the pinky. Right. It would just be, but the clock's ticking. You only have so much time. Well, so wait, so they just found a finger. This guy found a finger in the driveway.
Finds a finger in his own driveway, calls the police. They show up. They're like, yeah, that's a finger. We got a finger in the driveway. And so check this out. The story was reported, and then the Pierce County, where this is Tacoma, Washington, the Pierce County Medical Examiner's Office got a phone call. And someone said, I think that's my finger.
I think.
He identified himself by only his surname and said, well, I did lose, quote, multiple digits messing around with some fireworks.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They did prints on the recovered finger. They corresponded with the man's information, which was available in the FBI database.
Let's see your hand.
They said there was no blood around the finger, and they thought, the Tacoma police thought it was left on the property by an animal or perhaps a bird. So the guy wasn't he wasn't at this driveway when he was blowing his own fingers off with fireworks, but he was somewhere nearby, and it looks like an animal picked it up and dropped it off.
Oh, I was just going to say, that must have been some explosion. It must have, would it blow blocks away to someone else's
that could have happened.
Driveway, but a bird picked it up and flew it over there. What did it say how long it had been?
Well, the finger was found on July 5th. It was a firework injury, maybe within 24 hours. Maybe it was the 4th of July.
Replantation of an amputated part is ideally performed, according to the internet. 4 to 6 hours after injury, they show a finger missing here. But success has been reported up to 24 hours. And then it says another one here that one finger had been replanted up to 94 hours later. A lady experienced a work accident, 41-year-old. This is a male patient, I guess. In 2015, he lost 9 fingers in a workplace accident.
That to me sounds like 8 fingers and a thumb.
Yeah.
Holy
one thumb's got to come off of that. Yeah.
That's not good.
Wow.
That's not good.
The guy's whose finger they found, I wonder if he was a little insulted that the bird didn't find his finger savory. The bird, it's not my cup of tea.
I wonder, so if it gets cut off with the saw or something like that, that seems like an easy reattachment. But if a finger is blown off, it sounds messy, jagged. I don't know.
It's not.
You just keep it as a souvenir.
Falling asleep on the train tracks, if all you lose is a few fingers, you're actually way ahead of the curve.
Right.
That could have gone a whole lot worse. I'm amazed the guy had the wherewithal to find them.
Yeah.
Although you put a coin on the track, it's right there when the train finishes doing its smushing thing. So maybe the fingers just fell right there off the rail. Man, that's pretty tough. But at least he had a baggie.
When you're checking in, you're like, well, can someone put these back?
I wonder if he had to dump his drugs out first, if they were all gone.
I mean,
the baggie.
My mom used to say, don't leave home without a baggie, and now I know why. Good news out of Tacoma, they found out whose finger that was. Listen to this story. On July 5th, a gentleman called the police, did not 911, he just called the police regular number and said, I just out in the driveway, I just found a human finger. You might want to send an officer over to check this out. And a policeman did show up, and he looked down, and sure enough, right in this guy's driveway in Tacoma, Washington, was a human finger.
Yeah.
No idea how it got there, and more importantly, no idea who it belonged to. Word got out that a mysterious finger had been found. The Pierce County Medical Examiner's Office got a phone call. These are the morgue, the people that, take body parts.
Yeah.
They got a phone call, and the guy said, might be mine. I had a little incident the other day. I lost multiple digits, quote, messing around with some fireworks.
Yeah, there you go.
The gentleman on the phone did have some prints in the FBI database. Apparently, he'd been in trouble with the law before. They matched the finger and realized, yep, it's yours. Come and get it.
So you don't have to come in and see if it fits.
No, he did. He was able to come in and reclaim his own missing finger.
Maybe they got it back on. I mean, I don't know if it's blown off, if it's just too damaged to sew back on, but
a little Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, some duct tape. Staples, perhaps.
No, he hadn't been in the driveway where the finger was found with these fireworks. It was elsewhere. So they're thinking maybe an animal found it and carried it over to this guy's driveway.
Yeah, maybe a bird. I saw a bird, an eagle, drop a snake on a roadway one time. Just couldn't keep its grip. Those slithery little things. We've heard fish have been dropped from the sky by birds of prey. Mm-hmm. Perhaps... a little robin just lost its grip on the
could have
finger,
been.
and down she went.
I saw a large bird with a snake in his talons while playing golf, and it ruined my round. It just flew right over my head, and I just saw, before my actual brain even acknowledged what it was, my central nervous system had already gone into full shutdown mode. I looked up and I saw coming towards me a large snake in the air, in the grips of a hawk of some sort.
Yeah, with your love of snakes, imagine getting one falling from the sky.
That's what I mean. And it just flew right over me and kept going, but that's all it took. I've had 2 rounds of golf ruined by snakes. The other was one day at a state park like in Oklahoma. It was the morning after a huge storm, and we were on this course, and there were branches down and just leaves everywhere. It was a spring, big like May booming thunderstorm like you get in Oklahoma. And the next morning out on the golf course, we were at a par 3, elevated tee box hitting down a hill onto a green that was surrounded by water. And we got to the tee box, looked down on the green, and there's just like 5 big tree limbs, branches just on the green. And we're like, well, if you hit there, we'll move those. It's a hazard. And the first guy took his shot, and his ball landed right next to one of the sticks, and it slithered away because they weren't tree branches; they were all snakes.
Oh, it slithered away.
And boy, I literally should have just gone back to the room at that point. I stayed out there and finished the back 9, but the whole time was just nauseous and just like couldn't look around. I was like playing speed golf. Like, well, if I focus on my shot, that's when the snakes will get me.
Yeah. I got a course in Rapid City you'd love. I forget the name of it. I think it's Elk something, but we're out there playing, and there's signs on every freaking hole, just off the fairways, off the greens. Don't wander off because there are rattlesnakes around. And so we get back in after a round, and I thought about it a couple of times. I don't ever hit the ball, in the fairway. And I thought, well, maybe I could see it right over there. Or maybe I better not wander in there because there's so many damn signs. And I commented after the round, I said, boy, you guys got enough signs out there? He said, yeah, they made us put those up there after that guy got killed a couple of weeks ago from a rattlesnake. I went,
oh, pesky snake.
Yeah, exactly. Said, I think it was a heart attack. Oh, well, we'll see what the lawsuit, that all sorts out. But yeah, they had to pound a bunch of, signs in the ground.
Sure. Back to this finger in Tacoma, Washington. We were talking about this a little earlier in the show. You said one time, Zepp, you thought you saw a human ear.
Yeah, it wasn't. Very anticlimactic. No, it's just a wrapper.
But, for a hot second there, you were like, hey, this might
finally, yes, I have a
local
story.
News. They're going to interview me. This will be great. I've never found a body part, but boy, you and I are alone as far as the KQ Facebook page looks like right now, because we asked Ever found a human body part? I don't even know where to start, but I think this would be the one. Amy wrote, I retrieved a body wrapped in a blanket and rug off of 35W just outside of downtown back in the mid-90s.
Wow.
Oh.
I was on my way to get my boyfriend from work. He worked overnight. I lived downtown, went down a ramp on 35W, saw some people shove a big, bulky something out of a car. So I pulled over, saw it was a person.
Yeah.
Drug it into my car, turned around the highway, drove the wrong way back into downtown, dropped him off at HCMC, went back to pick up my spouse from Mystic Lake.
Oh, there you go.
Nothing to it.
Literally just scooped up a body and brought it and delivered it and then kept going.
She kept the rug.
Maybe
really
that's
brought
what it
the
was
room
all
together.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the responsible thing to do. Well done, Amy.
Yes.
Lori wrote, found a human leg bone in my backyard, threw it into my neighbor's yard so it can be their problem.
Here's a femur for you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Matt's got a winner. I like Matt's. But, Matt, we could use a little more explanation. 651-989-ROCK, if you're still listening this morning. I found a thumb stuck to a radiator that got cut off by the fan. I mean, were you a mechanic? Were you just working on it? Did you know the guy that, was there a guy, that drove it in minus a thumb?
God. Is this anybody's?
Thumb stuck to a radiator, got cut off by a fan. Someone poking around down in there with the car running, I guess.
Robert,
not one of those electric ones.
Robert posted, here's what he found. This is what he wrote. Human body, twice.
Same one?
Or are you admitting that you're a multiple homicide?
Right, bragger.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
You killed two people? Is that what you're trying to say? And then Gary wrote, I found a whole thing the whole thing once. Again, these bodies, unbelievable.
Just discarded and laying around. I guess I'm not looking close enough.
Phew. While camping, this is from Tom, while camping at Lake Ochita in Arkansas, I found what I thought was a rock in the water. It caught my eye because it looked like a finger. When I picked it up, it fell apart in my hands.
No. Oh, gross.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, just in the water there, I guess, disintegrating.
Yeah,
I think a fish would have nabbed that bad boy. But
man.
Yeah.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
A mom from New York with her 4-year-old daughter. Her kid wanted a little burger and fries, and all was well until they looked in the bag. Now, the child does not care for ketchup. So imagine their surprise to see what apparently looked like ketchup all over the food. Here's the mom.
I decided to get a meal for my daughter, and I heard, Mom, I don't want ketchup. I look in her bag, and there is blood all over her bag, her toy, her fries, everything.
Wow.
Blood.
Yeah.
Mom called the restaurant and got the manager on the phone and explained what happened. And he said, oh, well, one of the guys in the kitchen cut his hand earlier today. I guess he was still bleeding. Sorry about that.
That explains it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be right down with the health inspector. Let's go ahead and pull him out of there. You got a mop around there? Perhaps he could mop up your sticky floors.
Mm-hmm. She said that the manager said somebody cut his hand. If I came back, they'd give me a refund. This is where it gets a little sideways, though. So I can only speak for myself as a parent. Were this me and one of my kids at the age of 4 looked like human blood, I'd be sickened by this.
Yeah.
But my first thing I would do is make sure I did all I could to keep my kid from having any understanding of what just happened.
Yeah, they don't
a 4-year-old
they
child
can't
doesn't need
process
to know human blood is all over their food.
You will create trauma and a phobia for them that will last the rest of their life.
Or you can create what's already happened. She says her daughter has not eaten since this happened 3 or 4 days ago. The mom's anxiety's through the roof, and then she said in an interview with the New York Post, what if my daughter needs professional help from this? Are they going to cover those bills?
Let's start with mom first. Let's get you on the couch. Why would you put that on your child? We're supposed to protect them and keep them from these things. And it's not like a 5-year-old child's going to understand that, always make sure that there's no blood on your food. And I think I'd probably need that bleeding kid back there to give me a blood test. Because the child ate some of it, right?
The child took a bite.
Might have had a bite of blood. You know,
had a bite.
Probably no problems. I'd give her rabies shots just to be safe.
That was another thing the mom said. We're going to have to get her tested once a month for a year to make sure she has no blood-borne illnesses. First of all, track down the kid with the cut finger.
Yeah.
Test his blood.
Yeah, go ahead and see what's in there. Just a bunch of THC.
And tell
okay.
And tell your kid every month that you're just going to the doctor. Just say we have to do this one. They don't need to know all the details. You don't have to tell a 4-year-old that's human blood. That's all I'm suggesting. Your job is to protect your kid from the evils of the world when they're that age.
Oh, she's probably going for the big payday, Mom. Maybe.
Well, that's what it is. What if she needs help? What if she needs professional help? Let me see the receipts on those therapy bills. Mm-hmm. On the KQRS Facebook post, we asked, have you ever ordered food and got something that didn't belong in it? There's a few comments for sure. Christian wrote, on a trip out west, we stopped in a very famous restaurant in Colorado, the one with cliff divers. Don't know what that means.
Oh, the Mexican place, right?
Oh, I have heard of that place. The South Park guys bought it and refurbished it, right?
Gotcha. No, I'm not hip to it.
I'm thoroughly enjoying my food when I take a bite, and there's something very incredibly chewy. I take it out of my mouth. It's the fingertip of a latex glove. Thankfully, that was all, and not the fingertip of a person.
Yeah. You know, that's there you go. That's half full.
They already ingested that.
That's rolling.
By the time they got to the glove.
Krista wrote, my mom found a Band-Aid in her bread bowl salad.
Come on, let's be careful. No, anyone with a Band-Aid, don't be making the salad.
Wow.
I mean, it's all right. I know. I don't want to know what's going on back there. The sooner we automate these places, I think the better off we all are.
Yeah, the robots don't need Band-Aids.
No, they don't need Band-Aids. They're clean. You know, you hit them with some poisonous disinfectant in the morning. They're fine. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not going to start bleeding into your food. You know, they're not going to be popping zits back there and God knows what else.
Tom wrote, my buddy got a receipt sandwich from Culver's. That's a good one. Here's one from Michelle. Got a plastic bread tie on a burger at Applebee's once. The manager acted like it was no big deal. Told me that it must have fallen off the bun packaging. She says, well, no kidding, Captain Obvious. I had the first time, I'm a big fan of Indian food. I've always said, when the governor says, what do you want your last meal to be before they throw me an Old Sparky, I'm going to go out with Indian food.
Okay.
The first time I had Indian food at a restaurant in Atlanta in 1987, I went with a couple friends. I'd never been in an Indian restaurant before. Immediately, I walk in, the smells worked, and the food looked great. And I sit down, and I had a couple of starters, and we're sharing it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever had. The dude comes up with our mains, and he sets down one giant platter of rice that everyone's going to share from. And right on top of this large plate of rice, as if placed there by the chef, is a obviously dead housefly, just a fly.
Nice touch.
Dead center.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and my buddy looks at it, and we look at the waiter, and I go, hey, man, there's a fly on the rice.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, oh, I'm sorry. And he just picks it off with his fingers and walks away with it. And literally, I was like, this food just smells too good. I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to still eat. And I ate it, and it was just fine.
Maybe that's what the chilies do in there, you know, the hot, it just, it kills all that. But, yeah, just really not going to pick up the plate and go.
So sorry, this fly is meant for the other table.
I think he took one look at us and realized, oh, they're already drunk and stoned. They're going to forget this in a minute, but I didn't forget
I
it.
at least would have dined and dashed.
I needed to get back in there as soon as possible. I didn't want to be on the don't let them back in list. I've worked in a lot of places where I was preparing food for people I would never meet. And it's I guess it's like jury duty. I took it very seriously. I was never like, if something hit the floor, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's fine. I mean, I did have that sense of, no, I mean, someone's going to eat this, and I don't want to get a phone call saying, what'd you do to their pizza? Why are they vomiting?
I do have some friends that have worked at different franchises I don't need to name that won't eat there anymore. Okay. Not that particular franchise they worked at, but any one of them. I know what goes on there. My brother worked at a hot dog processing plant for a while. I won't go near a hot dog. I've probably eaten 30 hot dogs already this summer.
Sure.
Sometimes I don't want to know,
Oh, no. Definitely don't want to know.
Don't want to know.
I worked at a pizza place in Atlanta, and it was it's it's a place called Fellini's Pizza. There's a bunch of them in Atlanta, 8 or 9 of them. They're very successful. In the 80s, when there was only 2 of them, they were both just hole-in-the-wall dumps. And the ownership got their act together, and the place has gone on to become a very reputable, wonderful establishment. When I was first working there, not exactly.
No.
Every employee was in a band, including the owner, and it was eventually shut down by the health department when they showed up on a surprise inspection. The word on the street, I never got confirmation, was that there'd been a little payment going on. Make sure you give me a heads up before you show up. Sure. And then somebody missed that memo and showed up unannounced, and then we were all out of jobs. But before that happened, this was the state of the Little Five Points location in Atlanta, Georgia in 1988. We had a cat in the restaurant who lived there full time. His name was Hobart.
All right.
We named him after the dough mixing machine, which was called a Hobart. And this cat would, on occasion, while people are sitting at their table eating their food, right there on the floor of the restaurant, just be playing with, toying with, and then eating mice. Yeah, right there, right on the restaurant floor.
Wow.
And people would go, "Oh my God," and we'd go, "Oh, it's fine. It's Hobart. He's just doing his job."
One less mouse in the restaurant.
Better in his gut than on your plate. Yeah, that's a true story. Just whatever. What's the big deal?
Attaboy, Hobart.
Hobart was a good guy. He know what? It wasn't his fault. He was doing what was asked of him.
I doubt there were many people that walked out. There are some places that I've eaten at that I know what's going on. If I saw it in front of me, I'd just be like, well, I would expect that.
I do want to stress, however, if you're in Atlanta and see a Fellini's, go in there. It's great. It'll just set you free. Yeah. Still good friends with the owner. I should probably think about couching that story for future reference. It was almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
The best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
Cobb County, Georgia. That's just north of Atlanta.
If you say so.
I trust me. I've spent plenty of time there, baby. Emergency crews were called in to find a man who fell down a well 50 feet. That's a deep well, and that's a long 50 feet down into any situation is pretty serious. Dude was apparently looking for his cell phone. He had been walking through the woods, lost his phone earlier that day, went back to search for it. It was after dark that he went back to search for it. Maybe he had a flashlight with him, I guess. But the police got a call. 911 got a call. A guy said, "Hey, my dad went looking for his phone, and he hasn't come home yet. He's out in the woods somewhere." EMTs, officers found the man's vehicle parked nearby. They were walking through the woods, and they heard his phone. While searching, one officer then heard screams. He was at the bottom of a 50-foot deep well.
Well, when you've got a 50-foot well out there in the woods, the old well, make sure you put like a thin little piece of plyboard over it or something. Maybe just some brush.
You'd think. By the way, I mentioned maybe a flashlight. No, he did not have a flashlight. He was just walking in the woods and in the dark looking for his phone.
What? All right.
Okay.
Are you sure that's what he was doing out there in the woods?
Yeah, that's a likely story.
This is Lieutenant Steve Bennett. Maybe he has a little information for us.
Police showed up. They heard his phone while they were walking through the woods, and they were calling for him. And then one of the officers thought he heard something and went and found the gentleman had fallen into about a 50-foot well.
I never fell into a well, but fun fact, true story. I had to be rescued in Cobb County, Georgia, in the woods once with my wife, driving on an old logging road in an off-road all-wheel drive vehicle, and there was a tiny little what looked to be a very small mud puddle. There was an underwater creek, as they say, like an underwater source that I was unaware of, and I just drove right through it, and the car just immediately sank.
What?
It was like quicksand. It was like being in quicksand.
Oh, wow.
Sank up to almost the door handle level, literally in a matter of hey, what's going on? Why'd this car stop? And I'm trying to figure it out, and all of a sudden I'm like, we're sinking.
Yeah.
What in the hell's happening? And it just went all the way down, but to couldn't open the doors. I mean, it was crazy. And this is early 90s, and thankfully had not a cell phone, but a car phone, which I never used because I used it once and then got a bill for $300. I made 3 phone calls and it was literally $300. So I never even turned the thing on. Turned it on, thankfully had a signal, and I'm like, what kind of dumbass takes a big off-road cool vehicle like this and gets it stuck in the one water he sees. And I called and I was like, yeah, I'm stuck out here. And then they had to bring a big truck and pull it out. And but we couldn't get out of the car. We're in the car for like 2 hours, just sitting there like, if this thing sinks any further, we're going to have to go through the sunroof. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life.
Yeah, it's going to be the lead story on the local FM radio show.
Thank God. Thank God I had shaved my head in a blind fit of drunken rage. If I had been like long haired dude, they would have been like, "What are you playing a band?" And then it would have been terrible.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel cool when you're like, oh, anyway, I was just going through this puddle and apparently just didn't have the guts to really gun it, and I just sunk the car. Sorry.
Being rescued, that comes with a certain amount of humility. I think each time, even if that's nature coming to get you every once in a while. Yeah. But who wants to be rescued?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's something silly or if it's a legitimate situation that would catch any of us. The idea that you're calling for help, it just violates everything in your DNA.
It's like it's like your wife hiring a handyman to come into the house to fix something. You're like, I was gonna do that.
Yeah. I got over that one. I'll be honest.
Me too.
I had to let that one go.
I welcome that.
Because I was like, yeah, I can do it 82% well. But 100% is better.
Yeah.
Then I don't wonder. And I don't spend the rest of my life wondering when it's going to break again. Just get someone else in there to do it. I almost had to be rescued this morning. I got stung by a wasp, and I thought about calling paramedics. That was pretty I mean, I hadn't even had coffee yet. I mean,
you just wanted to show off your behind.
Don't tell me I haven't lived on the edge.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
This Saturday, July the 6th at the Turf Club, the Baseball Project will be performing. The Baseball Project, you hear it described a million different ways. Alt-rock supergroup, 2 members of REM, a guy from the Dream Syndicate, Young Fresh Fellows, the -5, Filthy Friends, all comes together in the Baseball Project, a great rock and roll band who sings songs exclusively about baseball. A whole bunch of my favorite people are involved in this, and one of them is on the horn with us right now, Steve Wynn. Good morning, brother.
Hey, man. Good to talk to you.
It's great. It has been a while. It's been too long. Yeah. I'm very happy to talk to you, and I'm very happy that you're coming to St. Paul Saturday night. For anybody who's not familiar with the Baseball Project, give me the really quick version. How does a bunch of people, every musician has friends in other bands, and you always say, hey, we got to get together and play. We should do something. We should do something. And then when you guys actually get together and do it, it turns into a band that writes songs about baseball. What is that? Explain that one to me.
Pretty strange, right? I mean, it is, and you're completely right. You know how that goes. We all go way back together, and we've all been on the circuits. Me and Peter Buck and Mike Mills from REM, and Scott McCoy from Young Fresh Fellows, the -5, and Linda Pittman from the Twin Cities' very own Zootooth Pedals. And we all, go back 30, 40 years and have a great friendship. But as it turns out, we're all big baseball fans too. And the band started when REM got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 2007, and we were all 5 of us were hanging out there at the party the night before the event. And Scott McCoy and I kind of ended up in the corner of the bar, started talking, and we both realized we had always wanted to write an entire album about baseball. And you know how it goes. You get a concept like that, and then think about it for years, then never do it. But once we had somebody to spur us on, we were off and running. And within 6 months, we had written the songs, recorded the record, got a label, put it out, and we were on the Letterman show playing our first time together, which is a weird arc for a band. And at that point, we just kept doing it because, well, most of all, because we love hanging out and playing music together. And we found this band that people really enjoy, but on top of that, we there's a lot of stories to tell about baseball, and we'll probably never run out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we do a sports history segment every day, and the baseball stories. I think about your band often because I will see a story about, like today, or yesterday, I should say, about there's a guy in the Hall of Fame who died. He fell into Niagara Falls in 1903. And when I read that story, my first thought was, they could write a great song about that guy.
And we did. As it turns out, we on our first album, Big Ed Delahanty, we actually that song Scott wrote. And that happens all the time to us. People come up to us and say, "You know what would make a great song?" And we'll say, "Yeah, that's on our second album. Yeah, we did that in the first album."
That's fantastic.
But there's more to tell. But we know the history. We know our stuff. I think people like, for example, I mean, we all know the song, probably the most famous rock and roll baseball song is John Fogerty's Center Field, and it's a great song. And you know, it tells us a great story about, you know, his comeback and all that. And we use baseball in the same way as a metaphor for other things in life. You know, you don't have to love baseball to love what we do. You know, if you come see us play, and our show Saturday is actually sold out, I should point out. So I don't know if they're going to cram more people in, but we're very happy that the Twin Cities will welcome us back like that. And I should point out, I do want to say that with anybody who can't get into the show on Saturday because it's sold out, we are playing in Des Moines at Willie's the next night. So if someone feels like a road trip, or if your signal goes that far, come on down to Des Moines because there's still tickets for that one.
Yeah, right on.
But yeah, we you know, there's no quiz to get into our shows. If you like baseball, you'll get all the references. If you don't, you'll just hear a band that sounds like who we are. You know, the sounds of REM and the Dream Syndicate and all that mixed into one big stew.
Yeah, it really is fantastic. I've told people that when in talking about your band, I'm like, if you like the bands these guys are from, you're going to love the music. Whether the lyrics resonate on any level or not, it's going to make perfect sense to you. And I love the fact that the Dream Syndicate was a band. You know, I discovered you guys in the 80s when Medicine Show came out, and then I worked my way back and then forward with you. And REM, I was a huge fan. If you had told me in 1984 when I was watching the Dream Syndicate open for REM, at the Fox in Atlanta, if you'd said, yeah, these guys are going to be doing a baseball band one day, no way would that have made sense. And yet the first time I saw the Baseball Project, it made perfect sense. You grew up in LA, so you're a Dodgers lifer.
Ooh, it's tricky. It's very tricky. And in fact, we have a song about that, how we all, you know, like you, we've all moved various different places for various reasons, you know, music, you know, love, adventure, all the reasons why people move. And we picked up teams along the way. So I've actually lived in now Linda's a diehard Twins fan, so everyone's going to be happy about that. There's no complication there. But I've lived in New York for 30 years now, and I got to say, and I know this might, you know, not be popular to everybody there, but I'm a Yankees fan almost more than anything. I've been in New York long enough where this is my home, but I know that's the wrong thing to say to the Twin Cities because the Yankees have been a little rough on the Twins over the years.
Ryder, hang up the phone.
Yeah, I know.
I'm messing with you.
Now we're going to see an empty room at the Turf Club on Saturday. Sorry.
No, but that's okay. But I know. You know, you're not one of those. You weren't a Yankee front runner. Like the day you showed up in town, you didn't immediately switch onto the bandwagon. So it was a slower process than that. At least tell me that much.
It was that kind of thing. And in fact, when I moved here, I mean, without going into a whole long detail, but I always loved New York. I always wanted to live here. And even though I'm from LA and the Dream Syndicate was very much part of an LA scene and all of that, I moved here and said, well, I want to take on a local team. I want to, you know, I want to have a New York team. And as a Dodger fan growing up, it couldn't be the Mets because it's another National League team. So I went with I went with the other league, and at the time, the Yankees were not that good. You know, it's still in the end of the Mattingly years. I hope I'm not boring your listeners here. I know you, but I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And exactly, it was before they started winning, so I wasn't jumping on some kind of bandwagon. Just was like, well, I'll take on that, you know, losing New York team and see what happens. So, you know, when you go to a city, you tend to follow the team because that's who you watch every day.
Of course.
So, you know, if you can't be with the team you love the team you're with.
There you go. Hey, there's a lyric. There's a lyric right there.
Right. I'm working on it right now.
Steve Wynn's with us on the KQ Morning Show. The drummer in the Baseball Project, and your wife Linda Pittman, as you said, a Twin Cities native and a diehard Twins fan. You guys have been together for a long time now, but Minnesota, this area, such a great music scene. You came out of the LA music scene, but I'm sure you have memories of your first time playing in the Twin Cities, probably with the Dream Syndicate, I would imagine.
Yep, you're right. We played in our very first tour back in '83. We played in February, as you can imagine, a cold, snowy February day. My first time setting foot in the Twin Cities. We played First Avenue, and was, you know, a sold out show. It was really exciting, and the whispering around the backstage was, Prince is here.
Of course.
He's anyway, you know, because he was into his Paisley stuff, you know, and all that.
Yeah.
So he was there, and we didn't meet him or see him, but he was, you know, in the shadows somewhere checking us out. So that tickled us.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Well, Prince, everybody that played First Avenue in the 80s was told Prince was there. You're one of the few people that he actually was there that night. You know, the word was always that he was there, but luckily for you, it actually turned out to be true.
That was the word. I wish we could have met him, but then he started his Paisley Park thing just a year later. So I guess he kind of got into our little scene we had going out in L.A.
Yeah.
And I think he put out a record by the 3 o'clock, another band from our scene, and he wrote that hit for the Bengals. So he was checking out our little L.A. groovy psychedelic kid scene we had going out there.
Yeah, he certainly was. Steve Wynn of the Baseball Project. I first, as I mentioned, found Steve Wynn in the Dream Syndicate, one of my favorite bands forever. And the Baseball Project at the Turf Club Saturday. Sorry to say, if you don't already have tickets, you're probably going to have a hard time getting in. But if you do come to the show, you'll see me. I'll have the goofy grin on my face watching a bunch of my favorite musicians all playing. And that does include Linda, who's a spectacular drummer. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, just want to send her our love. The news yesterday that Lori Lindeen had passed away, obviously.
Very sad time for us. Yeah, we all obviously loved Lori and knew her for years, and she was such a great friend of the band. So we just seen her a few months ago, and Linda, that was Zuzu's Pedals was the band. They all travel around together, and we're just shocked and really sad about that. So
yeah, that's a big loss.
We'll be sending a lot of songs out to Lori on stage on Saturday.
For sure. Zuzu's Pedals, a lot of love for that band still, of course, in the Twin Cities. Steve, I'm looking forward to seeing you, brother. Thanks for taking the time to call in.
Yeah, great talking to you, Steve, as
all
always.
Right. See you in a couple days.
See you in a couple days. Bye.
I saw, as I just referenced, I first saw the Dream Syndicate in 1984, and it was one of those gigs where I knew about the band, I'd heard about this band, and they're opening for REM, and REM must like them, and I sat in my seat and just had my head expand. It was kind of like the aforementioned acid trips we were talking about, just seeing a band doing something very different but very intense, and that gentleman right there has written a bunch of my favorite songs, so I can't wait for Saturday night.
Nice.
Cool. So, wait. I thought we were having the Las Vegas real estate mogul on. Steve.
No. Sorry, not that Steve Wynn. Sorry.
No.
I knew that would get your attention if I said it was that Steve Wynn.
That's my buddy Chad, who I'm busting right now. He texted me and he goes, "Is this the guy?" And I'm like, "Shut up, Chad."
He's got a nice hotel.
He's like, "Ask him about the Golden Nugget." I'm like, "Go away, Chad." Chad, go away. I'm telling you on the air.
Yeah, that's. When I first heard of Vegas mogul Steve Wynn, I was like, wait a minute, no way. Come on, man. He's got to change his name. Turns out Steve Wynn from cult favorites The Dream Syndicate wasn't already a household name. Just in my house, he was.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.